Right now, you are standing in a universe that was never young, never beginning, never born from a single moment of explosive creation. A universe that has always been here, breathing in cycles far older than any timeline we've ever carved into the fabric of our understanding. Before we begin, forget what you think you know. Forget the textbooks. Forget the diagrams of a tiny singularity expanding into everything. Forget the idea that all of existence burst forth from a single point 14 billion years ago. That version, the one you've heard your whole life, is only a story, a theory that we've mistaken for a truth. A narrative repeated so often it became a comfort, a cosmic bedtime tale that tried to put boundaries around the boundless. But imagine this instead. The universe did not begin. The universe simply is. It has always been here, infinite, enduring, eternal. You may feel the weight of that idea instantly. Your mind wants a starting line. We're wired for beginnings, a sunrise, a birth, a countdown, a first word, a first moment. But the universe isn't designed to make sense in human terms. No cosmological clock struck zero. No cosmic spark ignited everything. What if there was no dawn of creation? What if we're living inside something without origin, without an edge, without a first breath? Before we continue, take a moment. Look around you. At the stars above, the ground below, the air you breathe, everything you see, everything you cannot see, every particle, every atom, every galaxy spinning light years away, all of it part of an eternal motion, a rhythm older than time itself. The story of the Big Bang tells us that time began 14 billion years ago, but that would mean time is finite. It would mean there was once a moment with no before, a moment when nothing existed and then suddenly everything did. But nothing is a concept humans invented to understand absence, not existence. The universe has no use for nothingness. It does not pause. It does not rest. It does not emerge from void. It cycles. It transforms. It collapses. It reignites. But it never vanishes. Picture this. You're floating through a cosmos that has no birth certificate. The galaxies around you swirl like ancient dancers performing a choreography they've done for eternity. Stars ignite and die again, forged from the ashes of their ancestors. Black holes merge, tear matter apart, and create conditions for new galaxies to rise. Whole regions collapse into themselves, then expand outward again in slow cosmic tides, like an ocean breathing over spans of time we cannot measure. The universe is not a one-way expansion from a single spark. It is a storm that never stops forming, a fire that never extinguishes, a cycle that predates meaning. But here's the strange part. We cling to beginnings because they make existence manageable. If the universe had a start, then maybe it has a purpose. Maybe it has an architect. Maybe it has a destination. But an eternal universe? That's harder. It removes the comfort of boundaries. It tells you life exists, not because the universe began, but because the universe always allows life in one form or another, somewhere, sometime. And that scares people. For over a century, we've locked ourselves to the Big Bang because it gives us a clean narrative, a neat origin, a measurable age, a universe we can package into numbers and equations. But as our instruments improved, something strange happened. The universe stopped matching the timeline we assigned to it. Galaxies appeared too mature for their supposed age, structures too large to form in the time available, stars too heavy, too early, patterns too complex, too soon. Every telescope upgrade didn't confirm the Big Bang. It strained it, bent it, cracked it, until the model meant to explain the cosmos had to be patched with invisible forces, unknown energies, hypothetical inflationary bursts, layers of improvisation stacked on top of a theory that kept slipping further from observable reality. Ask yourself, if a universe presents evidence of being older than your theory allows, is the universe wrong, or the theory? Now imagine you're gliding beyond the familiar boundaries of human knowledge, drifting into spaces where age loses meaning. You pass star clusters so ancient their light began travelling before Earth had formed, yet they orbit structures older still. You glide past supermassive black holes that have been feeding for so long. Their existence alone contradicts every mathematical model built on a universe with a short timeline. You move through cosmic filaments, stretching across billions of light years. Webs so enormous they could not possibly have formed in just 14 billion years. Not even with every patch, every approximation, every dark placeholder we've invented. And in every direction, the universe whispers the same truth: I did not begin. Think about that. Think about something that does not start, something that simply continues. Time becomes different in an eternal universe. It stretches not into a line, but into a landscape, a terrain with infinite valleys, infinite peaks, infinite cycles. If the universe never started, then everything that exists is part of an endless chain of events. Stars giving birth to matter, matter forming planets, planets forming life, life creating consciousness, consciousness gazing back at the cosmos, trying to understand its place. And here you stand, a conscious being made of eternal matter, built from atoms older than any timeline we've ever written. The hydrogen in your body is ancient, not 14 billion years ancient, but eternal ancient. It has always existed in some form. It was never created in a singular moment. It is part of an infinite fabric that shifts shape but never disappears. This is the universe you're about to explore, not a universe with a beginning, a universe that is beginningless. You're about to fly through a cosmos without age, without a first light, without a moment where nothing became something. And once you understand that, once you truly feel the weight of an eternal universe pressing against your imagination, the world you know will never look the same again. Because the truth isn't that the universe is 14 billion years old. The truth is that 14 billion years is barely a drop in the ocean of eternity, an ocean you're only now dipping your hand into. And the journey is just beginning, because in an eternal universe, there is no first step, only the next step. So now you're floating in the dark, suspended between galaxies that have spun their arms across eternity. The idea has already begun working on you. The realization that you're not standing in a universe that once exploded into existence, but in a universe that has always been unfolding, like a book with infinite pages written across infinite time. Now, take the next step. Look again. What if every galaxy you see has lived through countless eras before our own? What if each cluster has assembled, dispersed, collapsed, and reassembled through cycles longer than any measurement we've ever invented? The universe doesn't rush. It moves in epochs beyond imagination. Stars are born, live their luminous lives, die in quiet collapses or violent explosions, then their ashes swirl back into new stars. Over and over, endlessly, eternally. You drift toward a galaxy near you, its spiral arms curling like ancient smoke in the darkness. Imagine this galaxy not as a child of a cosmic explosion, but as one moment in an everlasting cycle. It was not created 14 billion years ago. It was reshaped 14 billion years ago. There's a difference. The matter making up its stars, planets, and nebulae has existed forever. It has been part of countless earlier galaxies, countless earlier structures, countless earlier cosmic architectures, long before this current arrangement. Picture a mountain. A mountain erodes, its rocks break apart. The fragments turn to dust. The dust is pressed into stone. The stone is uplifted again. Is the new mountain young? Or is it made from ancient material, repeating its cycle? The universe is that mountain. Galaxies are its temporary shapes. You glide closer to this eternal galaxy. Streams of stars orbit in slow arcs, taking hundreds of millions of years to complete a single rotation. Yet the galaxy itself has likely completed these rotations, not dozens of times, but millions of times. Not in the time since the Big Bang, but in eternity. You look deeper. The center glows with a supermassive black hole, surrounded by spiraling gas, heated to unbearable temperatures. We've been told these black holes formed after the universe began. But look at it. This thing is ancient, older than any timeline that begins with a Big Bang. It has eaten stars for eons beyond measurement. It has merged with other black holes, not once or twice, but countless times. It has grown through cycles of universes within universes, eras stacked inside eras. You're looking at something that does not remember beginning. Its hunger is eternal. You drift past the core and into a river of starlight, stretching outward. Each star you pass carries the memory of older stars, forged from matter, recycled endlessly. In a universe with no beginning, everything becomes reincarnation. Everything carries the echoes of what came before. Now imagine this. What if the entire cosmic web, those vast filaments stretching across billions of light years, is not a product of 14 billion years of expansion, but the latest form of structures that have assembled and collapsed for eternity? What if every great wall, every supercluster, every void is the newest version of an ancient pattern, repeating like waves on an infinite sea? That would mean the large-scale structure of the universe isn't the result of a single event. It's the latest tide in an endless cosmic ocean. You move outward, leaving the galaxy behind. You travel past a cluster, hundreds of galaxies orbiting a shared gravitational center. These clusters take billions of years to form, billions more to evolve. But in an eternal universe, clusters aren't singular events. They're recurring phenomena. They form, disperse, reform, elsewhere in endless configurations, like constellations rearranging themselves over eternity. Now you drift into the deeper dark between clusters. This is where the illusion of a beginning becomes hardest to maintain, because in the vastness of these regions, structures exist that should not be possible within 14 billion years, walls stretching billions of light years, voids spanning unimaginable distances, filaments forming networks that challenge any theory tied to a finite timeline. You realize something. The universe is not young. We are young. Humanity appeared only yesterday on the cosmic timeline, a brief flicker of awareness in an eternal night. And for most of our existence, we had no idea where we were. No telescopes, no equations, no way to even imagine the scale surrounding us. When we finally looked outward, the universe told us a story far older and stranger than we expected. So we simplified it. We compressed the cosmos into a timeline small enough to make sense. 14 billion years, a human-friendly number, comfortably finite. But the universe isn't comfortable, and it isn't finite. As you float through this dark expanse, you realize the evidence was always there. Not hidden, simply overwhelming, too large, too ancient, too intricate to fit inside the narrative we insisted on. The cosmos never asked us to shrink it down. We did that on our own. You drift farther. A lonely galaxy appears ahead, isolated, drifting through a thin region of space. Its stars burn faintly, stretched across a distorted spiral, a cosmic relic drifting in solitude. This galaxy could be hundreds of billions, trillions, or countless trillions of years old in human terms. But the universe does not write its history with numbers. It writes with motion, with cycles, with transformation. You watch as a dim star on its outskirts collapses into a white dwarf, cooling slowly over unimaginable lengths of time. In a finite universe, this star's story would end. But in an eternal universe, its matter will be reclaimed, pulled into new formations, reignited in new stars. Life from death, endlessly. The universe repeats itself, not because it must, but because eternity demands it. Nothing can remain still in infinite time. Everything cycles. You look outward again. In every direction, galaxies drift like embers in a cosmic wind that has never stopped blowing. They are not expanding from a single origin point. They're moving through an unending terrain of gravitational currents and ancient structures. The universe isn't fleeing a beginning. It's simply continuing, as it always has. You realize something profound. If the universe is eternal, then every moment of existence is not part of a countdown, but part of an unending story. And you, floating here, witnessing this endless terrain, are finally seeing the universe for what it is, not a firework that exploded once, a flame that never went out. And this is only the beginning. You're drifting deeper now, farther from the familiar, farther from the boundaries where human stories once constrained the cosmos. Ahead of you stretches a darkness, not empty, but ancient, not silent, but humming with the faint vibrations of processes older than imagination. You've stepped beyond the comfort of the Big Bang's supposed starting line, and now the universe begins revealing a truth it has always held close. Beginnings are illusions, convenient illusions, illusions that make infinite things feel graspable. But your journey through an eternal universe is just starting to peel back that illusion. Imagine hovering at the edge of a vast ocean in complete darkness. Waves form, crash, and retreat. Tides rise and fall. Storms churn, winds shift, currents flow. If you look only at the latest wave, you might convince yourself the ocean began with it, that everything you're seeing now must have come from a single crest, a single moment. But the ocean existed long before. It will exist long after. The waves are just expressions of something timeless. The universe is that ocean. The Big Bang is one wave. Now picture this. You're drifting toward a cluster of galaxies so massive it warps the space around it, bending the starlight from objects far behind it. This gravitational lensing is dramatic. Arcs of distorted galaxies stretched across the darkness like streaks of paint on a cosmic canvas. Scientists study this lensing to understand mass distribution. But in a universe without a beginning, this lensing reveals something else. The structures forming these lenses are not young. They are the outcomes of countless cycles of matter aggregation, collapse, and reformation. Clusters like these are not children of a 14 billion year timeline. They're elders of an endless cosmos. They carry scars of previous eras, collisions, mergers, disruptions, not just from one cosmic epoch, but from infinite epochs layered on top of one another like geological strata on planetary surfaces. But you're not just looking at the cluster. You're feeling its history. It pulses with the memory of cycles, galaxies falling inward, others slingshotting outward, and still others drifting between gravitational tides toward new destinies. Nothing in this scene suggests a universe that sprang from a singular instant. Everything here whispers of an ancient, iterative universe, one where time is not a line but a circular tide. You drift along the cluster's outskirts and notice a massive elliptical galaxy, bloated and featureless, glowing like a dying ember. In Big Bang models, such massive ellipticals require immense time to form through repeated mergers. But here, in an eternal universe, this isn't a problem. This galaxy didn't form in a rush or by miraculous acceleration. It formed through cycles, growing, feeding, cannibalizing, merging, not once but countless times across eternity. Its stars are veteran lights, many of them remnants of previous cycles, forged in furnaces from eras lost to memory. Their combined glow isn't young starlight, but recycled fire. You drift closer. The galaxy stretches across millions of light years, a sprawling citadel of ancient matter. Inside, stars drift in slow, stately orbits. This place is old in a way the human mind has difficulty holding. Not billions of years old, but older than the concept of billions itself. Older than any measurement, older than any beginning. And that's when the realization sharpens. The idea of a beginning is a human need, not a cosmic reality. Because beginnings give shape to the chaotic. They make existence feel like a narrative with a first page. But the universe is not a book. It's more like an eternal flame, always burning, always transforming, never igniting for the first time, never extinguishing for the last. You drift away from the elliptical giant and move into a quieter region, a sparse intercluster area that seems emptier than the rest. But this emptiness is deceptive. What appears empty still holds ancient particles, drifting dark matter, rogue stars expelled from collisions, millions of cycles old. Even in silence, eternity moves. And in that silence, something becomes clear. The Big Bang model wasn't wrong because people misunderstood the universe. It was wrong because it tried to compress eternity into a story humans could accept. For centuries, humanity searched for cosmic order. Ancient civilizations believed the universe was eternal. Then philosophers argued for beginnings. Then scientists sought origins. Each era tried to impose structure on the infinite. The Big Bang gave us that structure. A neat beginning, a clean timeline, a cosmic birthday. But real universes don't come with birthdays. You continue drifting and you come across something unusual. A massive cosmic void stretching across an unimaginable distance. Its boundaries blur, melt into the infinite dark. This void is not a region that hasn't formed structure yet, as Big Bang cosmology suggests. Instead, it's a remnant of previous cycles, a place where matter evacuated, leaving behind a bubble carved across eons. An eternal universe isn't a single expansion. It's infinite cycles of clustering and dispersal, infinite tides of structure rising and falling, infinite eras of creation and collapse. This void is a shadow of those cycles, a scar of eternity. As you drift farther into this emptiness, the truth solidifies within you. If the universe had a beginning, everything would still show signs of youth. Instead, everything you've seen reveals age, not billions of years, but a depth of age impossible to confine inside a finite timeline. This is when you grasp the full meaning of an eternal universe. Everything that exists carries echoes of infinite pasts, the stars, the galaxies, the voids, the filaments, even the space between them. None of it remembers beginning. All of it remembers changing. You close your eyes, or whatever senses you use to perceive in this cosmic drift, and let the realization settle. The universe did not start, it simply is, and you are now drifting through something that has always existed and always will, changing shape endlessly, like a tide that has forgotten the meaning of first wave. And ahead, deeper into the eternal dark, the next revelation waits. When you open your eyes again, you find yourself drifting through a region filled with the quiet glow of ancient starlight. These stars are old, not in the fragile human sense of a few billion years, but in the cosmic sense of endurance beyond any storyline. Each one is a survivor, a remnant of cycles long past. Their light is soft, stretched, red-shifted by their own uncountable journeys through the universe's eternal expansion and contraction rhythms. You move gently toward a star cluster, suspended like a lantern against the darkness. These clusters are some of the universe's oldest structures, but in a beginningless universe, oldest becomes a strange word. What does old mean when there is no young? What does first mean when there is no beginning? Here, age is measured not in years but in cycles. Clusters like these have formed, dispersed and reformed countless times. Their stars may have been born in earlier galaxies, lived their lives, died, been broken into atoms, reassembled inside nebulae, and reborn into new stars again and again. In a universe without a beginning, no atom is ever truly new. Everything is recycled. Everything is ancient. Everything has existed forever, just not in the same form. You glide into the heart of the cluster, where the density of stars increases, creating an almost liquid shine. The light from each star blends with the others, forming a glowing ocean of radiance. But even here, in this shimmering density, you can feel the gravitational dance playing out, slow, patient, eternal. Stars weave around one another in orbits lasting millions of years. Some will eventually collide, others will be flung outward by gravitational encounters. Some will drift into the darkness between clusters, and slowly, over spans of time longer than human memory can hold, the cluster will dissolve. But this dissolution isn't the end. In an eternal universe, nothing ends. The matter in these stars will drift into new gravitational wells, join new clouds, ignite new generations of stars, and the cycle will continue as it has always continued. You drift out of the cluster, leaving the glowing swarm behind, and enter a quieter region of space, a vast expanse sprinkled with only a few stars, each drifting with no rush, no destination. Here, the silence feels deeper. The universe's age presses in from all directions, not as weight, but as presence. This is where the evidence of eternity becomes overwhelming. You approach a massive nebula, a cloud of dust and gas stretching across light years. But this nebula is different. It looks layered. Like sedimentary rock formations on ancient planets, this nebula carries stacks of history. You can see the outlines of previous shockwaves, signatures of ancient supernovae that exploded not once in cosmic history, but repeatedly over cycles beyond counting. This nebula isn't young. It isn't left over from a singular beginning. It is the product of endless cycles of stellar birth and death. Each layer is a chapter in a story that never had a first page. You glide deeper into the nebula, past curtains of glowing gas illuminated by newborn stars nestled inside. These stars are young now, but their matter is ancient. They are children of eternity, not of a singular creation event. When you emerge on the other side, you find yourself facing something truly massive, a galaxy cluster merging with another cluster. In the Big Bang model, these mega-mergers are incredibly rare, requiring absurd amounts of time to occur. But in an eternal universe, they are common, ongoing, natural processes. These clusters don't merge once in cosmic history. They merge endlessly, over cycles that repeat across eternity. You watch galaxies hurtling toward each other, pulled by gravity's slow, patient hand. Their halos overlap, their dark matter meshes, their stars begin intermingling. Tidal forces stretch them into distorted shapes. This process, from the first approach to the final merger, takes billions of years, far too long to fit cleanly into a 14 billion year universe, but routine in an eternal one. As you observe this colossal dance, a realization arises. The universe doesn't show signs of accelerating evolution, it shows signs of infinite practice. Galaxies don't look young, they look experienced, as if they've done all of this before, billions of times. You drift farther, and suddenly you find yourself staring into a cosmic gulf so immense it appears to swallow sound, light, even thought, a void. But this one is different. It stretches so far that its opposite side dissolves into uncertainty. In Big Bang cosmology, such a void would be nearly impossible to form in the time available. But here, in an eternal universe, voids carve themselves naturally over endless cycles of matter migration. You drift into the void, feeling the stillness deepen. The space around you is not empty. It is quiet. A quiet forged over eons. A quiet shaped not by absence, but by balance. Because in an eternal universe, cycles don't produce permanent emptiness. They produce rhythm. Matter moves outward, then inward, structures form, then dissolve, galaxies cluster, then scatter, stars ignite, then collapse. Nothing stays still. Nothing remains forever in one form, but everything continues. And as you drift through this monumental silence, one truth becomes crystal clear. A universe without a beginning is not chaotic. It is harmonious. It is not random. It is rhythmic. It is not meaningless. It is cyclical. And you, a conscious being made of eternal matter, are part of that cycle. Not a product of a single cosmic spark, but a ripple in an infinite sea. Ahead of you, the void begins to thin, and new structures start to appear. Filaments of light stretching across eternity, like the veins of creation itself. And the journey continues, deeper still into a universe that never began and will never end. As you leave the great void behind, you drift into a region of space where the universe seems to stitch itself together again. Structures reappear, first faintly, like distant embers scattered across a horizon, then brighter, denser, more intricate. You're entering one of the cosmic filaments, a thread of light stretching for unimaginable distances. But this thread isn't new. It's not the remnant of a single cosmic birth. It's the latest formation in a long lineage of cosmic architectures that have risen and fallen in the universe's infinite breathing cycles. Filaments like this are not carved within the narrow time frame of a 14 billion year universe. Their scale defies that timeline. Their complexity exceeds it. Their coherence mocks it. Because these colossal structures, stretching across billions of light years, are the result of processes playing out over epochs beyond counting. You glide along the filament, feeling the gravitational pull of the matter that composes it. Not just normal matter, but the unseen scaffolding that supports everything. Dark matter, ancient and unyielding, forms the backbone of this structure. But even dark matter is not some primitive remnant of a sudden beginning. It too is eternal. It has been shaping cycles long before the current arrangement of stars and galaxies was ever imagined. The filament hums with quiet activity. Galaxies flow along it like leaves drifting in a river. Clusters gather at intersections where gravitational crossroads converge. This structure is not static. It is not the end result of a single expansion. It is dynamic, evolving across infinite ages, shifting shape, breaking apart, reforming, always in motion. You reach one of the nodes where several filaments meet. This node is colossal, a gravitational metropolis, a cosmic city where thousands of galaxies gather. But even here, in this stunning density of matter, nothing suggests youth. Everything feels lived in, weathered by time, shaped and reshaped across cycles so ancient they dissolve the meaning of beginning. You move closer to one particular galaxy in the node. It's a barred spiral, arms curling outward in elegant sweeps, a central bar of glowing stars cutting through its core like a luminous spine. In a finite universe, structure like this would be rare. It would require specific timing, conditions, and evolutionary milestones that fit neatly into a 14 billion year timeline. But in an eternal universe, these structures are not rare. They are inevitable. Given infinite time, every possible galactic form has existed, will exist, and is already existing somewhere across the infinite expanse. Spirals, ellipticals, lenticulars, rings, irregulars, all of them are just temporary arrangements of eternal matter. You slip into the galaxy's outskirts. Stars glide past you, each carrying the memory of past cycles in their elemental composition. Heavy elements forged in previous generations of stars. Carbon, oxygen, silicon, iron. None of it new. None of it born in a single cosmic dawn. All of it recirculated in patterns older than any human story. You drift inward toward the heart of the galaxy. The bar glows brightly, shimmering with a dense population of stars. At its very center lies a supermassive black hole, spinning with ancient majesty. But this one is different. It's not merely ancient, it's ancestral. It is the product of countless eras of feeding, merging, and accreting matter. This is not the result of a universe in its infancy. It is the result of a universe that has had eternity to grow monsters. The black hole pulses. Around it, matter spirals inward, heated to unimaginable temperatures. Jets of energy stream outward from its poles. These jets are not young. They are not signs of a newborn universe. They are the breath of a cosmic elder. You pull back from the core, gliding outward along one of the spiral arms. Here, star-forming regions glow like embers inside vast clouds of gas. These nurseries produce new stars, but the word new feels different now. These stars are not newly created in the absolute sense. They are newly assembled. Their atoms have existed forever, merely rearranged into a temporary form. In an eternal universe, nothing is born as something from nothing. Everything is born as something from something. You leave the galaxy behind, drifting further along the filament. Ahead, you can see multiple galaxies interacting, tidal tails stretching between them like luminous threads. These interactions take billions of years, but in an eternal universe, billions are nothing. They are the seconds of cosmic time. You watch as one small galaxy spirals toward a larger one. Its stars are tugged outward, forming a trailing arc. Its gas compresses, igniting new waves of starbirth. When the merger completes, the smaller galaxy will be absorbed, its stars scattered into new orbits. But this will not be the first time it has merged, nor will it be the last. Galaxies in an eternal universe are like travelers in a never-ending dance, meeting, passing, merging, drifting apart, only to meet again across cycles beyond imagination. As you drift onward, you come across a structure even more breathtaking, a colossal ring galaxy formed from a previous cosmic collision. These rings don't form often within the narrow timeline of a finite universe, but in an eternal one, every rare phenomenon becomes inevitable, because eternity provides infinite opportunities. The ring is vast, extending hundreds of thousands of light years across. Stars blaze along its circular path like cosmic lanterns. The central region glows with the remnant core of the original galaxy. This ring is not a recent creation. Its atoms have lived through eras beyond memory. You move closer to one of the ring's stars, a massive blue giant. Its light is fierce, powerful, young in appearance, but made of eternal material. This star will burn brightly for only a short cosmic moment before collapsing into something new. But even when it collapses, the matter does not vanish. It will be reborn in future cycles. Energy becomes matter, matter becomes energy. Stars become dust, dust becomes stars. Galaxies become mergers, mergers become clusters. Clusters become tides, tides become voids. Voids become filaments. Filaments become galaxies again. It is a cycle without number, a pattern without end, a universe without a beginning. Ahead, the filament stretches further, a glowing river guiding you toward deeper truths, waiting in the eternal dark. The filament gradually thins until you find yourself floating in a calmer, quieter region where galaxies drift like lanterns on a vast dark sea. This is a transitional zone, a place where the universe's structure relaxes, loosens, opens into a sprawling expanse. And in this tranquil cosmic desert, the truth becomes even clearer. The universe is not behaving like something young. Everything around you behaves like something ancient, impossibly ancient. You drift toward a group of dwarf galaxies, barely held together by mutual gravity. They orbit one another slowly, like weary travelers walking in circles. Their stars are old, metal poor, worn down by lifetimes of cycles. In standard cosmology, these dwarfs are labelled primordial, thought to be leftover relics from the universe's earliest days. But through the lens of eternity, you see something different. These aren't primordial, they're simply ancient. They weren't thrown outward by a single explosive beginning. They were shaped through countless eras, by gravitational tides, by collisions, by migrations across vast expanses. They have existed across cycles, fading and reforming like tides on a shore. You drift closer still. The stars within these dwarfs flicker faintly, most of them red, dim, long-lived. These stars have burned for trillions upon trillions of years, far longer than any finite universe's age would allow. Yet here they are, shining like old lamps in a universe that has no first night. You glide past them and enter a wider expanse. Here lies a galaxy with an unusually thick stellar halo, a faint sphere of stars surrounding it in a diffuse glow. In Big Bang cosmology, such halos require ancient mergers and long histories. But in an eternal universe, this is not surprising. This halo carries the memory of cycles, of past collisions, of past identities. These stars were once part of different galaxies entirely, long before this current shape existed. Now they drift in wide, slow orbits, like memories circling the mind of the universe. You move deeper, drawn towards something unusual, Ahead is a galaxy with an exceptionally dense core, a compact, almost spherical cluster of older stars packed tightly together. These structures are not supposed to exist so early in a finite timeline, but in an eternal universe, such cores are simply natural outcomes of endless cycles of gravitational sinking. Over trillions of years, stars drift inward, orbits decay, systems shrink, the center grows denser. This is not evidence of youth. It is the signature of infinite age. You glide into the core itself. For a moment, the sheer density of starlight overwhelms your senses. Stars are packed so tightly, the darkness nearly vanishes. Their combined glow creates a radiant haze, like standing inside a lantern. And at the heart of this brilliance lies another supermassive black hole, ancient, immense, heavy with the weight of eternity. It pulls everything inward with slow inevitability. Stars spiral toward it in graceful arcs. Gas gathers around it, heated by friction into glowing ribbons. The black hole pulses with power, feeding patiently, never rushed. It has been feeding for longer than any measure of time can capture. You pull back slowly, drifting out of the galaxy. And as you move away, the stars thin, the density drops, and the quiet returns. Ahead, a cosmic wall rises. Not a literal barrier, but a region of densely packed galaxies arranged like a sheet. These walls can stretch across billions of light years. In Big Bang cosmology, they are anomalies, difficult to explain within a short timeline. Yet in an eternal universe, these walls are simply natural structures that emerge across cycles. They form, they dissolve, they reform elsewhere, they shift shape, shift position, shift identity. The universe does not rush to build great walls. It has eternity to do so. You drift along the wall's edge, feeling the gravitational pull of countless galaxies woven into its structure. Each one carries its own story. Each one has lived through eras of mergers, collapses, migrations. And none of them behave like children of a single cosmic birth. These are structures of an eternal landscape, features carved slowly, patiently, rhythmically. You leave the wall behind and enter a wide gulf where stars are rare, galaxies thin, and space stretches quiet and deep. In this vastness, the argument for an eternal universe becomes overwhelming, because nothing here behaves like something that began. Everything behaves like something that continues. Nothing shows signs of a singular origin. Everything shows signs of endless cycles. The stars, the clusters, the voids, the filaments, the black holes, the great walls, the halos, the rings, the dwarfs, the giants. All of it whispers the same truth. There was no first moment. You drift in this silence, letting the reality settle over you. The universe is not a firework. It is not a single event. It is not a timeline with a beginning and end. The universe is a landscape, infinite, ageless, cyclical. And you, a traveller of eternal matter, are just beginning to understand the depth of the cosmos you inhabit. Ahead, the dark grows deeper. A new revelation waits there, a truth hidden beneath the illusion of time itself. You drift into a region where darkness feels deeper, not because there is less light, but because the silence grows thicker. This part of the universe is quiet in a way that almost unsettles the mind. But here is where the truth sharpens. Time, as humans imagine it, does not exist here. You have entered a domain where time loses edges, where past and future dissolve into a single, continuous unfolding. The universe in this region moves slowly, not with the rush of youthful creation, but with the calm confidence of something that has existed forever. Stars wander in wide arcs, gas clouds drift lazily, stretched thin by gravity's patient hand. Nothing here hurries, nothing needs to. When you have eternity, every motion becomes deliberate. You pause, sensing the vastness around you. The human conception of time, seconds, minutes, years, ages, feels almost childish here. In this eternal cosmos, those units blur into irrelevance. Time is not a straight line. It is not a countdown from some cosmic origin. It is not a fixed beginning, followed by expansion toward a distant end. Time in an eternal universe is a continuum without starting point, without final destination. It is like a river with no source, flowing, shifting, reshaping, always moving, yet never beginning. You move toward a distant glow. It appears faint at first, then brightens as you approach. A sprawling galaxy surrounded by a diffuse halo of stars. This halo extends farther than expected, farther than Big Bang cosmology comfortably allows. In that model, halos are the result of ancient mergers and gravitational settling over a limited timescale. But what you see here is something different. A halo so extensive, so diffuse, so layered that it could not possibly have formed in a finite universe. This halo is not the result of one era of mergers. It is the result of countless eras, stacked on top of each other like geological layers, stars stripped from past galaxies, remnants of collisions long forgotten, survivors of cycles stretching across eternity. They drift in the halo like ghosts, faint but present. You glide deeper into the galaxy's interior. The spiral arms glow with clusters of young stars, blue, bright, radiant. And yet these young stars sit beside ancient stars, older than any timeline humans have ever proposed. In a finite universe, there would be contradictions. Why do structures appear older than the universe itself? Why do some stars appear impossibly mature? But in an eternal universe, contradictions vanish. Youth and age coexist naturally. A star's apparent youth means only that its current form is recent, not that its matter is new. Its atoms have lived through infinite cycles of birth and death. You drift past nebulae glowing with fresh star birth. But even these nebulae carry scars, shock fronts, layers of dust, complex patterns shaped by supernovae that occurred billions upon billions of cycles ago. This nebula is a painter's canvas, with infinite strokes layered upon it. You exit the galaxy, gliding into the wider expanse. Ahead lies something remarkable, a chain of galaxies moving together in nearly perfect synchronicity. Their alignment is astonishing, their motion graceful and coordinated, as if choreographed across eons. In a finite universe, such alignment would be improbable. But across eternity, improbable things become inevitable. You follow their motion, drifting parallel to them. The galaxies move like dancers in a slow, ancient ballet, spiraling, shifting, interacting, drifting apart, only to be drawn together again across cycles. Their patterns reveal something profound. The universe does not forget its rhythms. Over infinite time, motion becomes memory. Here, time is not measured. It is perceived, it is felt, it is lived by the cosmos itself. You drift toward a region between these galaxies, a strange zone where gravitational fields overlap. Here, space curves subtly, gently, like the tide pulling at your feet on a shoreline. You sense the gravity of cycles past, stars that once drifted through this region, galaxies that once collided here, matter that once swirled in eddies of formation and dissolution. Even empty space remembers, and then you reach something extraordinary, a relic of a previous cycle, a galaxy so faint, so diffuse, it is barely held together. Its stars are spread apart like crumbs scattered across a table. It is dissolving slowly, not from age in the conventional sense, but from the weight of eternity. This galaxy has lived through cycles beyond imagining. It has merged, split, reformed, collapsed, drifted, and now it dissolves again. In a finite universe, such relics would be rare. In an eternal universe, they are simply the elders, cosmic fossils drifting through the currents of infinite time. You drift into the center of this dissolving galaxy. Its stars move irregularly, no longer bound by a tight gravitational core. Many are on escape trajectories. Some have already left. This galaxy is not dying, it is transforming, shedding material that will eventually become part of new galaxies elsewhere. When you look closely, you can see that even this dissolving relic carries structure, patterns shaped by past collisions, remnants of spiral arms, ghosts of past shapes. This galaxy is a living testament to cycles stretching back into eternity. You leave the relic behind and drift again into deeper darkness. Here, time feels different, stretched, elongated, almost surreal. And then the truth reveals itself fully. Time in an eternal universe is not a line, it is a dimension, it is a medium, it is a sea that everything swims in. Because the universe is not young, it is not aging, it is not progressing toward an end, it is not emerging from a beginning, it simply continues. And as you float in this ageless expanse, you feel the truth resonate through everything around you. There was no first moment, there will be no last moment, there is only the eternal now. And within that eternal now, new revelations wait to be uncovered. You move forward into a region where galaxies are arranged in long looping chains. They curl through space like immense cosmic serpents, each galaxy connected to the next by faint bridges of stars and gas. These bridges are not ephemeral. They have existed through countless cycles. They formed long before any human instrument could have detected them, and they will remain long after every star in sight has transformed into something new. The chains pulse with quiet energy, not literal pulses, but a rhythm, the rhythm of movement shaped by gravitational tides over infinite ages. These chains have shifted shape countless times. They have been pulled apart, reassembled, stretched, compressed, twisted. They are not static structures. They are migratory trails, carved by galaxies wandering across eternity. You drift closer to one galaxy in the chain. It's a massive spiral, arms extended like wings. As you approach, you notice something peculiar. The spiral arms are not evenly structured. They contain disruptions, asymmetries, scars. These are not signs of youth. They are the remnants of ancient collisions that happened cycles ago. In a finite universe, such scars might be attributed to events within the relatively short lifespan since the supposed beginning. But here, you can feel the depth of these disturbances. They are old beyond comprehension. They are not the results of a single set of interactions. They are the layered remnants of many collisions, stacked inside collisions, shaped by epochs long forgotten. You glide through one of the arms. Stars cluster densely in some regions, thinly in others. Gas clouds swirl in patterns, shaped by gravitational encounters. Every movement feels ancient. Every structure feels layered. Nothing here feels new. Nothing feels like it emerged from a single explosive beginning. Everything carries the fingerprints of countless eras. You drift toward the galaxy's central bulge. It glows softly, a sphere of older stars congregated around a central black hole. But even this structure carries anomalies. Elongated clusters, unexpected motions, complex orbits. These suggest not a single era of formation, but many. This galaxy has been rebuilt many times. It has absorbed smaller galaxies. It has shed material. It has collapsed inward. It has expanded outward. It has repeated these cycles endlessly. You pass through the bulge and drift into the galaxy's halo. Here, stars move slowly, gracefully, like ancient guardians patrolling the outskirts of a kingdom. These stars are some of the oldest in the galaxy, not merely old in human terms, but old in the sense of having lived through multiple cosmic cycles. Their light is faint, but each photon carries a story of formation, dissolution, resurrection, a story of matter reused again and again across eternity. You leave the galaxy and continue along the chain. Ahead, you witness a cosmic bridge, a tenuous thread of stars stretching between two galaxies moving toward each other. This bridge is the result of tidal forces, stretched out during earlier encounters. But here's what makes it extraordinary. This bridge has persisted across cycles. As the galaxies drift apart and then come together again, the tidal bridge reforms, reshapes, extends, collapses, and returns. It is a structure that remembers the cycles. You drift along the bridge. Stars are sparsely scattered. Gas glows faintly. Every particle here carries ancient momentum, motion inherited from endless interactions. When you reach the next galaxy in the chain, you see something even stranger. This galaxy is ring-shaped, but not in the typical sense caused by a recent collision. Its ring is too perfect, too stable, too symmetrical. This is not the aftermath of a single event. It is the remnant of many cycles, shaping and reshaping the ring until it reached a form of equilibrium across eternity. You glide inside the ring. Stars orbit in near-perfect synchrony. Their paths are smooth, controlled, ancient. Rings like this, in an eternal universe, are not accidents. They are the culmination of repeated patterns. As you exit the ring galaxy, something vast comes into view, a supercluster. It stretches across a staggering portion of space, containing thousands of galaxies arranged in interlocking sheets and chains. In a finite timeline, such structures present problems. They are too big, too coherent, too evolved. But in an eternal universe, superclusters are simply the architecture of infinity. They form, dissolve, and form again, endlessly. Each cycle arranges galaxies differently, but the patterns remain familiar, like recurring motifs in an infinite symphony. You drift through the supercluster. Galaxies pass by you, like cities seen from above during a night flight. Clusters glow like neighborhoods. Filaments appear like highways. Voids are like dark oceans, separating civilizations. And through all of this, one truth becomes unmistakable. The universe is not a single story. It is an anthology of infinite stories, layered on top of one another. You drift into a quieter region within the supercluster, where stars are sparse and silence reigns. And in that silence, something becomes clear. Everything you've seen, every halo, every cluster, every filament, every relic, every ring, every bridge, every scar, carries echoes. Echoes not from a beginning, but from infinite cycles. The universe is not a young story. It is not even an old story. It is a story without a first chapter, and you still have farther to go. Deeper truths wait beyond the next horizon. As you move beyond the supercluster, the universe begins to open outward once more. The structures thin, the density lightens, and an immense quiet settles around you like a soft, cosmic fog. This part of the universe feels different, not because it is empty, but because it is spacious, vast, expansive in a way that feels deliberate, as though the cosmos has paused to inhale. And in that pause, you begin to sense something profound. The universe breathes. Not literally, of course, but metaphorically, structurally, rhythmically. Across eternity, the cosmos inhales and exhales, gathering matter, spreading it out, forming structures, dissolving them, creating stars, extinguishing them. What humans call expansion is just one part of this breathing cycle. What humans call contraction is another. These are not one-time events. They are eternal rhythms. You drift deeper into this quiet region, and the breathing becomes more apparent. Matter here is sparse, but what exists seems to drift outward gently, like particles floating on the edge of a tide. But far away, almost beyond perception, you can feel a subtle gravitational pull, a whisper of a future cycle, a slow gathering, the earliest hint of the next cosmic inhalation. The universe is not exploding outward from a single beginning. It is inhaling and exhaling across eternity. You glide through a cloud of ancient hydrogen atoms. They are remnants, but not remnants of a single primordial event. They are remnants from countless cycles of creation and renewal. Their presence is like dust motes caught in sunlight, illuminating the quiet breath of the cosmos. Ahead, a faint glow appears, the light of a lone star cluster drifting in this sparse region. Its stars are spread thin, like seeds scattered across a field. These clusters form in the quieter moments between cosmic cycles, nurtured by the soft gathering of matter during the universe's inhalations. When you reach the cluster, you see stars in various stages of life. Small red dwarfs burning steadily, blue giants burning fiercely but briefly, white dwarfs cooling slowly, their heat the last whisper of their former selves, neutron stars spinning with ancient patience. These stars are not young or old in the traditional sense. They belong to a cycle, one of countless cycles. Their births and deaths are just breaths in an eternal rhythm. You glide between the stars, feeling the subtle gravitational shifts. The cluster itself is losing cohesion. Slowly, gently, inevitably, its stars drift apart. Not because the universe is young and expanding, but because gravitational tides over infinite time gently pull everything into motion. You leave the cluster behind and move farther into the quiet. Ahead lies something extraordinary, a vast, faint arc of light stretching across the darkness. This arc is the remnant of an ancient galactic collision. But unlike collisions observed in a finite universe, this one is different. Its stars are spread so thin, its structure so elongated, that it could only have formed over uncountable cycles. You drift alongside the arc. Stars are scattered loosely along it, each one a traveller wandering along the path shaped by a collision billions of years past. The arc has survived many cycles, stretched by gravitational tides, relaxed by cosmic breathing, reshaped by the eternal dynamics of the universe. This arc is not the remnant of a single event, it is the fossil of many. You continue on and reach a region where faint nebulae glow with soft spectral light. These nebulae are ancient, their gas spread thin by the slow exhalation of the cosmic breath. Their colours are muted, their edges blurred. They drift like clouds at the edge of a storm, long past. Inside one nebula, new stars flicker with the earliest signs of ignition. They are dim now, but they will brighten. Their light will grow. Their lives will unfold. But these stars are not the first stars of a universe just beginning. They are the latest in an endless series, sparks that ignite in every cycle, across eternity. You move toward the heart of the nebula and feel a strange sensation, as though the universe itself is whispering. Not with words, but with motion, with cycles, with rhythms. This is when the truth reveals itself. The universe is not expanding from a beginning. It is breathing between cycles. Every cluster you've seen, every galaxy, every void, every filament, every relic, every tidal bridge, all of them are shaped by this eternal respiration. You drift out of the nebula and into another quiet region. Here, the stars are even more sparse. The darkness deepens. The silence thickens. This is the universe between breaths. Matter here drifts lazily, almost suspended in time. But look closely, and you can see the earliest signs of gathering. Subtle gravitational pulls drawing particles together, faint whispers of the next cosmic inhalation. In a finite universe, this gathering would be seen as the end of expansion, the beginning of collapse. But in an eternal universe, collapse is not the end. Collapse is the beginning of the next cycle, the next breath, the next cosmic rhythm. You float in this stillness, experiencing the universe's quiet inhale. And suddenly, everything you've witnessed makes sense. The universe has no beginning because beginnings require endings. The universe has no ending because cycles do not break. The universe is eternal because it breathes. And you, drifting in this quiet, ancient darkness, are witnessing a part of that breath. Ahead, the quiet begins to thin. Something vast awaits beyond this region. The next exhalation is beginning. As you emerge from the stillness of the cosmic inhale, structures begin to reappear around you. Faint at first, like sketches drawn lightly across the sky. Then stronger, more defined, more intricate. It is as if the universe is pulling back the curtain, revealing the frameworks of its eternal cycles. Ahead, you see what looks like the skeleton of a galaxy, a loose arrangement of stars and gas drifting together as if a massive structure is preparing to take shape. But this is no newly formed galaxy. It is a reconstruction. The universe reassembling matter into a familiar pattern it has built countless times. Galaxies are not created once. They are recreated endlessly. Their blueprints are etched into the cosmic fabric. And as you watch, the skeleton begins to grow denser. More stars gather. Gas clouds collapse. The form sharpens. What you are witnessing is not the emergence of something new, but the return of something ancient. You drift closer, moving through the partially formed spiral. Stars are gathering into streams, forming the early hints of arms. But the arms themselves are already old. Their shape is a memory inherited from previous cycles, a structure the universe repeats because it has repeated it before. And then a realization lands softly. The universe is not experimenting. The universe is remembering. Everything you see, every spiral, every cluster, every void, is the result of cycles repeated across eternity. As you glide through the forming galaxy, you see pockets of gas collapsing into clusters. But even these clusters carry patterns older than time. Their density, distribution, and motion reflect gravitational influences that stretch back through infinite cycles. Every new structure is a palimpsest, a canvas wiped and rewritten countless times, but never fully erased. You drift into the core of the forming galaxy. The central mass is gathering, stars sinking inward, gravity weaving them into a dense sphere. At the centre, a black hole is forming, but it is not new. Its seed is ancient, a remnant from a previous cycle. It has collapsed and recollapsed, merged and remerged, existed in countless galaxies across eternity. Black holes are not the endpoints of matter. They are the anchors of cycles. You move outward again, passing through streams of stars. The galaxy begins to take on a clearer shape. Its arms grow brighter, its structure tightens. But even now, you can feel the age in every motion. This galaxy is not the first of its kind. It will not be the last. It is simply the next. You leave the forming galaxy and drift toward a larger structure, a vast web of faint light stretching farther than your vision can hold. This is a cosmic blueprint, the underlying architecture, guiding the formation of filaments and clusters. It is a pattern that emerges naturally across cycles, shaped by gravitational memory. The universe is not random. It is patterned, it is structured, it is rhythmic. And these patterns are not the result of a singular beginning. They are the result of infinite repetition. You drift along the blueprint web, watching as new galaxies gather at its intersections. But even as they form, you can see the echoes of previous cycles. The density variations, the gravitational flows, the repeating geometry. These are not the signatures of a young universe. They are the fingerprints of eternity. You move deeper, passing through a region where stars are forming at astonishing rates. Its bright nebulae glow with new light, but the glow feels familiar. The patterns feel old. The chemistry feels ancient, because star formation is not a beginning, it is a continuation. You glide past the nebulae and enter a region dense with old star remnants, white dwarfs, neutron stars, ancient black holes. This region is a graveyard, but not a final one. It is a recycling field. Matter here will be reassembled, reused, repurposed into new stars, new planets, new galaxies. In an eternal universe, nothing is ever truly dead. It is simply waiting to be reborn. You drift deeper still and find something extraordinary, a structure that looks almost like a cosmic echo. It is the remnant of a structure that formed countless cycles ago, preserved through gravitational memory. It is faint, almost invisible, but woven into the present formation. This is how the universe remembers, not through conscious memory, but through structure, through motion, through gravitational harmonics repeated across eternity. You leave the echo behind and drift toward the edge of the region. Ahead, the structure's thin again. The universe is preparing to show you something deeper, a truth that lies beneath the architecture of cycles, a truth hidden beneath the patterns themselves. And the journey continues, forward into the eternal night. As you drift beyond the vast cosmic blueprint, the universe around you shifts again. The structures grow thinner, the darkness grows thicker, and the silence expands into something almost palpable. This is not emptiness, it is depth. A depth where the universe reveals one of its oldest truths. Matter remembers. Not in the human sense of memory, not as thoughts or impressions or stories, but as patterns, as tendencies, as rhythms encoded in the eternal dance of particles and forces. Over infinite cycles, matter develops habits, preferences, inclinations, shaped by the unending interplay of gravity, energy, and time without edges. You glide through a thin region of space where dust particles drift, like ancient ash scattered across a cosmic floor. These particles are tiny, microscopic flecks of carbon, silicates, iron, but their age is immeasurable. Not billions of years, not trillions. They are fragments forged and reforged across endless cycles of stellar birth and death. Each particle carries the memory of countless stars, countless supernovae, countless collapses, countless renewals. Matter is not young, matter is eternal. As you drift closer, you begin to sense patterns in the dust, subtle alignments, groupings, streams shaped by gravitational histories that stretch back across cycles like footprints left in soft soil. These dust grains drift in slow, deliberate currents, guided not by chance but by the gravitational echoes of structures long vanished. Even dust remembers where it has been. You glide into a more populated region, faint stars scattered like fading lanterns. These stars shine dimly, their fuel long exhausted, their heat fading. White dwarfs, brown dwarfs, red dwarfs cooling towards silence. But they too carry memories in their atmospheres, layers of elements, processed through countless stellar ancestors. You approach one white dwarf. Its surface glows faintly, the last echo of a star's ancient light. But inside it, layered beneath its crust, are elements forged in epochs long forgotten. This white dwarf has lived through many cycles. It may have belonged to many galaxies. It may have drifted through many structures. Its matter has been used and reused, collapsing and exploding and collapsing again. Across eternity, the universe does not create matter. It reshapes it, it repurposes it, it reuses it endlessly. You drift away from the white dwarf and find yourself in a vast field of cold gas. This gas is quiet, its molecules moving slowly, lazily, shaped by the temperature of deep cosmic night. But even here, in this stillness, the gas carries memory. It has been part of stars, part of planets, part of nebulae, part of collisions, part of cycles now gone. Nothing in the universe is new. Everything is merely reorganized. Ahead, something massive appears, the faint glow of a nebula in the earliest stages of forming new stars. But this nebula does not feel young. It carries scars of past shockwaves, ripples of past collisions, layers of dust enriched by countless stellar generations. The nebula pulses faintly as you drift into its depths. Gas swirls around you in slow, hypnotic patterns. These swirls are not random. They are shaped by the memory of previous stars that lived and died in this region, shock fronts that pushed the gas outward, gravity that pulled it back, flows repeated across cycles. This nebula is not forming stars for the first time. It is forming stars again. You glide deeper toward the warm glow of a cluster of stars in the earliest stages of ignition. Their light is soft, still fragile, as though they are clearing their throats before singing. These newborn stars will shine brightly soon, but their matter is unimaginably ancient. Your journey continues outward, beyond the nebula, into a region marked by faint arcs and filaments, barely visible against the dark. These delicate structures are remnants, the leftover traces of stellar winds, ancient jets from black holes, and the tidal stretching caused by past gravitational encounters. These arcs and threads are the faint handwriting of eternity etched across the sky. You glide along one arc, noticing how its stars are arranged in a subtle curve. This curve is not accidental. It remembers the motion of a galaxy that passed by countless cycles ago, pulling the stars into a shape that persists even after the galaxy itself has moved on. Matter remembers motion. Motion remembers gravity. Gravity remembers structure. Structure remembers cycles, all of it woven into one seamless continuity. You continue drifting, and now the region grows denser. Ahead lies a massive cloud, a dark molecular cloud, where starlight barely penetrates. This cloud is cold, dense, ancient, but within its depths, new stars are beginning to form. Not as the first cycle of creation, but as the latest in an endless sequence. Inside the cloud, chemical reactions occur slowly, as they always have, across eternity. Molecules combine, break apart, recombine, guided by the faintest whisper of heat and pressure. These chemical processes aren't young. They are ancient habits repeated billions of times. As you glide deeper, something remarkable comes into view. A protostar spinning slowly within its cocoon of gas. It emits a soft, warm light. But what makes it extraordinary isn't its youth. It's the age of the matter composing it. That matter has been stars, it has been dust, it has been planets, it has been plasma, it has been nebulae. And now it will be a star again. Matter is an eternal traveller. You drift away from the protostar, leaving the cloud behind. The region ahead opens into a vast gulf. Stars are sparse here, spaced across distances, so great they seem to float in isolation. But even this emptiness carries memory. You realise something profound as the gulf stretches before you. The universe does not remember the past the way humans do, but the universe does not forget. Its memory is encoded in motion, in structure, in cycles, in the eternal rearrangement of matter. And as you drift across this silent expanse, the next truth begins to emerge. A truth written not in stars or gas, but in the very shape of space itself. The memory of matter is only one layer of eternity. Deeper layers wait ahead. You drift on, leaving behind the region of ancient clouds and quiet stars. The gulf ahead widens, then slowly begins to fill again with faint glimmers. The distant lights of structures arranged in patterns too vast to comprehend in a single glance. These patterns are not random. They are not chaotic. They are not youthful. They are the shape of infinity. Galaxies appear in long arcs, in walls, in filaments, that stretch across distances measured not in billions of light years, but in the immeasurable sweep of eternity. And as you move forward, you begin to see it clearly. The universe has a geometry that cannot come from a single beginning. The structures are too large, too consistent, too ancient, too orderly across scales that dwarf any timeline humans have ever proposed. You glide toward one of the cosmic walls, a sheet of galaxies stretching across space like a vast mural. The wall is so large that it takes up your entire field of view. Each galaxy within it is a brilliant jewel suspended in an invisible lattice of dark matter and gravitational currents. But this wall has not formed once. It has formed many times. Eternity gives the universe infinite attempts. And over infinite cycles, patterns that work remain, while patterns that collapse are reshaped, reformed, iterated upon. The universe refines its own structure. You drift along the surface of the cosmic wall. Galaxies move slowly, drifting along gravitational channels carved over cycles without number. Some are spirals, some ellipticals, some irregular remnants of ancient collisions. But their arrangement feels too deliberate to be an accident born from a single explosion. This is a sculpture shaped across eternity. You reach a node, a massive intersection where several filaments converge. This region is dense, luminous, alive with gravitational interaction. Galaxies swirl around the node like moths around a flame. But the movements are slow, confident, ancient. Nothing here behaves like the result of a sudden beginning. Everything behaves like the result of infinite refinement. You dive deeper into the node. Streams of galaxies arc around one another. Some move inward, some drift outward. Some circle the center in slow, spiraling motions that take trillions of cycles to complete. This is not a finite structure. This is the architecture of infinity. You leave the node and drift into a filament. This one is brighter than the last, filled with young galaxies forming rapidly. But their positions are not random. They lie along a gravitational spine shaped by countless cycles of formation and dissolution. Each galaxy is a bead on an ancient thread. You glide along the filament until you reach its edge, where it dissolves into a sparse region. But even here, faint streams of matter hint at the underlying pattern. The shape of infinity persists, even where the eye sees emptiness. You drift farther, and now a new structure emerges. A vast, ring-like arrangement of galaxies circling an enormous void. This is no simple formation. This is the product of cycles. The void has grown over countless eras as matter migrated outward, while the ring formed from matter gathering in stable orbits around the emptiness. This structure is a cosmic orchestra, a harmony forged across eternity. You move along the ring, galaxies drift in perfect arcs. Their motions are slow, deliberate, precise. They are not static, they are not frozen. They are caught in a cycle so vast, so ancient, that human language cannot fully describe it. The shape of infinity is not random, it is recursive, repetitive, endlessly self-adjusting. You continue drifting, and something incredible comes into view. A duplicate pattern. Another ring, another void. Another arrangement almost identical to the first, but shifted, rotated, evolved by cycles. This is the universe's signature, repeating geometry across scales. You glide through this region, understanding now what you are witnessing. The universe is not expanding from a beginning. It is expressing its infinite geometry through cycles. Patterns arise, dissolve, reappear elsewhere. Structures form, collapse, reform. Matter flows through the shapes of infinity like water through a carved stone channel. You drift into a quieter region where only a few galaxies hang like lanterns in the dark. Their arrangement forms a triangle, equidistant, stable, ancient. This triangular formation is not a coincidence. It is a gravitational equilibrium reached across cycles. Even simple arrangements are echoes of infinity. And you realize something profound. If the universe were finite, its structures would be young, chaotic, uneven. But in an eternal universe, the structures are refined, patterned, recursive. They are the result of infinite time shaping infinite matter. The shape of infinity is not a metaphor. It is the visible architecture of an eternal cosmos. Ahead, the darkness deepens. A strange region awaits, one where space itself bends in ways that challenge imagination. You move forward into the depths of eternity. You drift onward, leaving behind the vast repeating geometries that shape the universe's grand design. Ahead lies a region where space begins to curve in subtle, mysterious ways. This is not distortion caused by a single massive object, nor the gravitational pull of some nearby cluster. This is something deeper, the influence of cosmic currents that flow across eternity. Space, in an eternal universe, behaves like an ocean. It bends, it ripples, it flows, it circulates, not chaotically, but rhythmically, shaped by forces playing out across cycles beyond counting. These are not currents created by a one-time explosion. They are the result of endless scenes of matter moving, compressing, expanding, colliding, dissolving, reforming, and repeating forever. You glide into the first of these currents. At once you feel it, a gentle tug, not strong enough to move you quickly, but persistent enough to alter your path. This is not random motion, it is a gravitational stream, the remnant of motions that began long before any singular beginning humans imagined. The current flows like a river, carved through space by the movement of galaxies across eternity. Their orbits, their migrations, their repeated cycles of convergence and divergence have shaped the cosmic terrain. Space remembers their passage, just as riverbeds remember water. You follow the current deeper. Stars drift along it, carried by the slow, ancient flow. Some are old red giants, glowing faintly. Others are white dwarfs cooling into silence. A few are neutron stars, spinning slowly like cosmic lighthouses whose beams have dimmed with age. These stars are not bound into galaxies anymore. They are wanderers, carried along by the eternal motion of space. You drift past one such wanderer. It is a tiny white dwarf, its light almost extinguished. This star may have lived in multiple galaxies. It may have orbited several black holes. It may have been part of countless cycles of formation. Now it drifts alone, guided by the gentle currents of an eternal cosmos. You move onward, and the current begins to shift. It widens into a broad, slow-moving stream of matter, gas, dust, rogue stars, all drifting with patient inevitability. This stream is not a remnant of a single collision. It is the cumulative path carved by countless interactions across cycles. Galaxies have passed through here. Stars have been hurled along these currents across ages too vast to grasp. The stream is ancient, but it is not static. It evolves, it adapts, it flows endlessly, shaped by the cosmic tides of eternity. Ahead, you see a faint glow. It grows brighter as you approach. An enormous, diffuse nebula spread across the stream like a veil. This nebula is not dense enough to form stars now. Instead, it drifts like cosmic smoke, shaped by gravitational winds. Its patterns swirl faintly, guided by currents invisible to the eye. And then you notice something astonishing. The nebula's shape matches the path of the current itself. This is not coincidence. It is memory. Matter aligns with the flow of space, just as leaves align with the direction of wind. The nebula's filaments stretch along the current, tracing its shape across light years. And this current is not new. It is the descendant of currents that have existed for eternity. You drift deeper into the nebula. The colours are faint, soft reds, muted blues, pale violets. These are the spectral footprints of ancient elements warmed by scattered starlight. But within the nebula, patterns emerge, faint waves, ancient shock fronts, remnants of supernovae that have occurred not once, but many times across cycles. Even clouds remember their history. You exit the nebula and the current narrows again. Here the flow is stronger. You can feel the pull more distinctly. A slow acceleration guiding you toward a region of greater density. This current leads somewhere. It has a destination shaped by gravitational harmony. You follow it until a colossal structure appears ahead, a massive cluster of galaxies arranged around a central void. The current flows directly toward this region, as though space itself is channeling matter into a stable configuration refined across endless cycles. You drift toward the void at the cluster's center. It is enormous, a dark cavity surrounded by luminous galaxies. But this void is not empty. It is the result of long-term gravitational shaping. Over cycles, matter has been pulled outward, leaving behind a pocket of space that has expanded into a stable structure. Voids are not empty regions of a young universe. They are the byproducts of eternity's currents. You circle around the void. Galaxies orbit it slowly, following paths established long before humanity ever imagined a cosmic beginning. Their motions are too orderly, too consistent, too ancient to be explained by a single expansion event. These galaxies are not racing away from a starting point. They are moving along gravitational highways carved across eternity. You drift down into another current branching from the void. This one is narrower, moving like a cosmic tributary. Matter flows through it steadily. Dust, gas, remnants of ancient stars, all guided by the invisible structure of space, shaped by cycles uncountable. And then you realize something profound. The universe is not expanding outward from a beginning. It is circulating, it is flowing, it is breathing through eternal currents. Just as oceans circulate water in vast ancient patterns, the universe circulates matter in patterns shaped by infinity. And these patterns do not end. They evolve across cycles, adjusting, refining, harmonizing. You drift onward, following the current as it carries you toward a deeper mystery. Ahead, a strange distortion appears, a region where space seems to twist subtly. Not violently, not chaotically, but with a smooth, ancient grace. This is where the next truth reveals itself. Space has memory too, and its memory is older than anything you have yet seen. As you enter the region where space begins to twist, the sensation is unlike anything you've encountered so far. It is not disorienting, but it is deeply unfamiliar, like stepping into a room where gravity is angled just slightly differently, or where sound echoes in an unexpected way. Space here is not flat, it bends gently, as though shaped by hands you cannot see. You are entering a region shaped by events so ancient, so cyclical, and so vast that space itself carries their imprint. This is where the universe reveals one of its deepest truths. Space is not empty, and it is not neutral. Space remembers. You glide forward and the distortion becomes clearer. This region looks smooth, almost polished, like a river stone, worn down by countless centuries. But what has smoothed space here is not erosion. It is the repeated flow of matter and energy across cycles without number. When a galaxy passes through a region, it leaves ripples. When a black hole merges, it leaves scars. When clusters collide, they reshape the terrains of space. These imprints do not fade in a single timeline. They persist, they accumulate, they overlap. Space, in an eternal universe, becomes a layered record, a palimpsest of infinite cycles. You drift deeper into the distorted region. The curvature of space subtly guides your path, gently bending your trajectory. This is not gravity from a nearby massive object. This is structural memory, the residue of countless gravitational interactions layered across eternity. You move farther in and begin to see faint patterns in the distortion. These patterns are not visual in the conventional sense. They are more like sensations, impressions of the way space wants to bend, wants to ripple, wants to flow. These impressions are the echo of past cycles. You drift through one such region where space bends inward, as though something once passed through here with great mass and momentum. Perhaps a galaxy cluster long dissolved, perhaps a chain of stars that no longer exists, perhaps a black hole that has already merged into another. Whatever shaped this region is gone, but its influence remains. Space remembers everything. You approach a region where space twists more sharply. This twist is not violent, but precise, a smooth curve like a spiral drawn by a steady hand, and when you enter it, you feel a gentle rotational pull. This region once hosted a rotating structure, perhaps a spiral galaxy that lived through countless cycles before dissolving or merging. Its rotation imprinted itself upon space, and the memory remains long after the structure itself changed form. You glide along the spiral twist. It guides you like a groove etched into a record, like a current etched into stone by ancient water. Even without matter present, the shape persists. This is the universe's memory at its deepest level, the memory of space itself. You drift onward and encounter another pattern, a faint wave, a ripple that moves through the region like a ghost of past motion. This is a gravitational wave fossil, not a fresh ripple from a recent merger, but the ancient residue of waves produced across cycles of black hole interactions. In a finite universe, such waves fade quickly. In an eternal universe, the faintest echoes accumulate. Space becomes an archive of everything that has ever happened. You move toward a region where the distortions intensify. The curvature arcs gently, creating a valley in the fabric of space. You descend into the valley, feeling the gravitational contour guide your movement. This valley was shaped by something enormous, possibly a supercluster that existed in a past cycle, long before the current configuration took shape. The structure itself is gone, but its imprint remains. Space remembers its weight. You ascend from the valley and enter a region where the distortions shift again, this time into a long, smooth plateau where space is unusually uniform. This plateau is not normal in a finite universe. It suggests a region that has been shaped and reshaped repeatedly until irregularities were smoothed away. Space behaves like metal hammered flat over countless strikes. Each cycle is a hammer, each structure a blow, each movement a pressure, and over infinite time, space becomes refined. You drift onward until another structure emerges, a faint tunnel of curvature, as though matter has flowed through this region repeatedly. This is not a wormhole. It is not a tunnel created by a single event. It is a path carved by the repeated passage of matter across cycles. Matter follows paths of least resistance. Space becomes shaped by those paths, and the paths persist. Here the tunnel arcs gently, leading toward a region of higher density. You follow it, sensing the ages layered within its shape. This tunnel has existed across cycles. It has guided matter before. It will guide matter again. You emerge from the tunnel into a region lit by the faint glow of distant galaxies. Their arrangement hints at patterns shaped by the distortions you just passed through. Space guides matter. Matter reshapes space. The two are inseparable. And then the realization settles like a soft weight. In an eternal universe, space is not a stage. It is a participant. It evolves. It remembers. It carries the scars and beauty of infinite cycles. You drift onward, leaving behind the distorted region. Ahead lies a place where space begins to smooth again. A calm zone, a peaceful expanse. But something far more profound waits in that calm. A truth about cycles themselves. A truth not of motion, but of purpose. And the journey continues. You drift into a region where space settles into a smoother, more uniform texture. The distortions you just passed, the curves, the ripples, the gravitational valleys, begin to fade, blending into a calmness that feels almost intentional. It's as if the universe has taken a long breath and now releases it slowly, letting the fabric of space relax into a gentle equilibrium. This calm is not emptiness, it is transition, a quiet between cycles. Here, the universe reveals something that cannot be understood by looking at stars alone, or galaxies, or nebulae, or the shape of space. This region exposes another truth. Cycles are not accidents. They are the universe's way of sustaining itself. You drift forward, the darkness illuminated only by the faintest hint of faraway starlight. The silence here carries a weight, a serenity that feels older than anything you've seen. And in this serenity, you begin to feel the rhythm beneath everything. Cycles are not random, they are purposeful, they are necessary. The universe is eternal, but eternity does not mean stagnation. Eternity requires movement, renewal, reorganization. Without cycles, an eternal universe would collapse into uniformity and silence. But with cycles, it remains vibrant, forever transforming, forever reshaping itself, forever alive. Ahead, you see the faint shimmer of a dispersed star field. These stars are stretched thin, drifting like dust motes suspended in still water. They are remnants of a galaxy long dissolved. Not dissolved once, dissolved many times across infinite cycles. You approach the star field. Each star shines faintly, ancient, tired, resilient. But this field is not a graveyard. It is a seedbed. These stars will drift. They will be pulled by currents. They will gather again. They will be reborn into new structures. And it is in this region, this quiet transition between cycles, that the purpose becomes clear. Cycles preserve variety. Cycles preserve motion. Cycles prevent the universe from becoming static. Without cycles, matter would fall into equilibrium and remain there forever. Nothing new would form, nothing would change, nothing would breathe. But with cycles, the universe remains eternal and dynamic. You drift deeper into the star field. A few stars drift near each other, forming tiny gravitational pairs. Their motion is slow, deliberate. These pairs are the earliest hints of a new cycle beginning. At some unimaginable future time, they will join with others, forming the seeds of a new cluster. Clusters become galaxies, galaxies become chains, chains become superclusters, superclusters dissolve, matter spreads, matter regathers. The cycle continues. The universe does not begin. It circulates. You drift past the faint stars until you reach a darker region. Here, gas is beginning to gather. Thin at first, almost imperceptible, but slowly pulled by the faintest gravitational tendencies. This is the earliest stage of inhalation, the universe preparing to gather itself again. And in that gathering, a deeper purpose emerges. Cycles preserve possibility. A finite universe would allow only one pattern, one sequence, one timeline. But in an eternal universe, cycles allow infinite variations. Every possible arrangement of matter eventually happens. Every structure can form. Every phenomenon can emerge. Every configuration can be explored. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is lost. Everything becomes part of the eternal experimentation of the cosmos. You drift into a region where the gas thickens slightly. The pull of gravity increases. Tiny fluctuations in density begin to appear, like ripples forming on the surface of water when a breeze stirs. These ripples are the beginning of new formation, triggered not by chance, but by the accumulated tendencies of cycles past. Even the earliest patterns of new structure reflect memories of previous cycles. You move deeper into the densifying cloud. The darkness becomes a little less dark. The gas glows faintly under the light of scattered stars. This region is in the process of becoming something. Not immediately, not soon, but inevitably. It is a cradle of future galaxies. And the purpose of cycles becomes even clearer. Cycles prevent entropy from ruling eternity. In a universe with infinite time, but no cycles, entropy would eventually spread everything into uniform silence. But cycles pull matter together again and again, fighting entropy not by erasing it, but by reusing it. Entropy becomes a tool, not a destination. The universe uses the ashes of old cycles to build new ones. You glide out of the cloud and find yourself in a region where matter grows thicker still. A faint glow emerges, not starlight, not nebula light, but the combined warmth of countless particles beginning to collapse inward. This is the first hint of gravitational collapse, the first step in a long process that will eventually create stars, galaxies, and entire cosmic structures. But this collapse is not a one-time event. It is one more inhale in the infinite breath of the cosmos. And then you realize cycles give meaning to eternity. Without cycles, eternity would be a flat line, an unchanging emptiness. With cycles, eternity becomes a vast canvas of ever-renewing complexity. You drift farther into the region, feeling the density of matter growing, feeling the subtle pull of gravity strengthening, feeling the universe gathering itself for the next expression of its infinite story. Behind you lie the relics of countless cycles. Before you lie the seeds of new ones, and you, drifting between them, witness the purpose that binds them all. Cycles are the universe's way of staying alive forever. Ahead, the density thickens further. A great cloud awaits, a structure shaped not by chance, but by the intention of eternity. It is time to enter it. You glide toward the great cloud, its vastness stretching across your vision like a cosmic continent. It is not bright, not vivid like the glowing nebulae of active star formation. Instead, it carries a subdued ancient light, the quiet radiance of matter gathering itself, preparing for transformation. This is not a nebula formed after a single collapse. This is the womb of a new era, built from the ashes of countless cycles. As you enter the cloud, the darkness softens, gas thickens, dust swirls, temperature rises ever so slightly. You are drifting into the earliest stages of rebirth. The cloud is enormous, spanning light years upon light years, but to an eternal universe, size is relative. What matters is not the scale, but the process, a process that has happened infinite times before and will happen infinite times again. The gas inside the cloud moves in slow currents, shaped by the gravitational memory of long-lost structures. Patterns form, faint spirals, long filaments, clusters of density rising and falling like the first breaths of a newborn cycle. You watch as pockets of gas begin to compress. Each pocket is small, insignificant on its own, but each one is a seed, a future star, a future system, a future possibility. These pockets contract slowly. Gravity tightens its grip, temperature rises, pressure builds, and with each contraction, the universe begins crafting the ingredients of the next cycle. You drift closer to one of the collapsing pockets. It glows faintly, warm with the friction of dust and gas colliding gently. This glow is the earliest sign of ignition, not the burning of nuclear fusion, but the prelude to it, a prologue written in heat and pressure. Your journey carries you deeper into the cloud, where larger structures begin to emerge. Clumps of gas join with others, merging into massive cores. Some of these cores will become stars. Some will become clusters. Some will dissolve again before ever forming anything stable. But nothing is wasted. In an eternal universe, every failed collapse becomes part of a later success. You pass by a core so massive it distorts the motion of everything around it. It pulls gas inward like a gentle vortex. Streams of material spiral into it, forming a swirling disk. This is the early form of a star system, not young in the sense of novelty, but young in the sense of reassembly. The matter forming this system has lived through stars before. It has burned in furnaces. It has collapsed into remnants. It has drifted through currents. It has rested in voids. And now it is becoming a star again. Eternal rebirth is not metaphor. It is the universe's fundamental behavior. You glide past the forming system and deeper still into the densest region of the cloud. Here, the gas glows brighter, warmed by the gravitational collapse of many cores at once. The cloud vibrates softly, with motion too slow for human senses to detect, but unmistakable to you. This region feels alive, not biologically, but cosmically. It is the earliest heartbeat of a new cycle. As you continue drifting, you encounter a massive cluster of forming stars. Their combined heat begins to carve cavities in the surrounding gas. Massive newborn stars send out strong stellar winds, pushing material outward, shaping the cloud into sculptures of light and shadow. This is cosmic rebirth in progress. Countless new stars forming from matter older than imagination. You glide above the cluster. The brightest stars burn blue and fierce, radiating energy at incredible rates. They will not live long in cosmic terms, but eternity does not require longevity. It requires cycles. These stars will burn fast, die explosively, and scatter their enriched matter into the cloud, feeding the next generation of stars. Then the next, and the next, forever. You drift deeper still until the cloud begins to thin. You emerge from its far side, entering a region where the first true structures of the new cycle have begun forming. Young star clusters, glowing softly, arranged like lanterns across a night sky. Some clusters are dense and bright, others are loose and dim. Some will form galaxies, others will disperse. All are part of eternal rebirth. The universe is not a single story. It is the infinite repetition of renewal. You drift between the clusters, feeling the gentle warmth of young stars on every side. This region carries a vibrancy unlike anything you've encountered, not because it is new, but because it is awakening. Cycles overlap here, The old dissolves into the new. The past breathes into the future. The eternal becomes the present once again. Ahead, the first shapes of new galaxies begin to emerge. Faint spirals, hints of bars, early halos, forming around dense clusters. You are witnessing the rebirth of cosmic architecture. Not for the first time, not for the last time, but as part of an infinite continuum with no beginning and no end. And now, the next stage of this eternal story awaits, the formation of complexity itself. You drift beyond the newborn clusters, entering a region where the first faint outlines of new galaxies have begun to take shape. Their forms are subtle, hints of spirals, ghostly bars, halos, still gathering their stars. This is the early architecture of a new cosmic era, still soft, still forming, still glowing with the warmth of fresh creation. But the cosmos does not write its story once, it writes it endlessly. These galaxies are not the first of their kind. They are the latest iterations of an eternal pattern. As you glide closer to one forming spiral, you see its early arms curving gracefully outward, pulled into motion by the gravitational influence of its emerging core. Dust, gas, and starlight swirl together like paint on a cosmic canvas. The movement is slow, deliberate, ancient in behaviour, even though this structure is newly assembled. This is the beginning of complexity, not the first time it has arisen, but the latest in an infinite lineage. You descend into the spiral's forming arms. Newborn stars glitter like diamonds embedded in soft clouds. Dark lanes of dust snake through the arms, creating contrast and texture. These dust lanes carry the signatures of previous cycles, enriched elements from long-dead stars, forged and reforged across eternity. The complexity you see is not accidental, it is inherited. Each cycle builds on the debris of the previous. Each new structure is enriched by the ashes of its ancestors. Each wave of starbirth contains the memory of infinite prior evolutions. As you follow the arm toward the galaxy's centre, you feel the gravitational pulse of the newly forming bulge. Here, stars are packed more densely. Their light blends into a gentle glow, casting a warm radiance across the surrounding gas. These stars formed from material that has lived countless lives, first as simple hydrogen atoms, then as stars, then as remnants, then as gas again. Complexity rises because matter has experienced eternity. You drift into the heart of the bulge, where a young black hole is taking shape. It is small now, still in its infancy, still gathering mass from the swirling disk around it. But even this newborn black hole carries ancestral weight. It formed from matter, enriched by cycles of formation and dissolution that stretch back without beginning. Black holes are not the universe's graves, they are its seeds, and this seed will grow across the ages. It will merge, it will reshape its surroundings, it will contribute to the next cycle, and the next, forever. You rise out of the core and drift toward another forming galaxy nearby. This one is irregular, chaotic, still finding its shape. Gas clouds collide, forming shock fronts. Clusters merge unevenly. Stars tug at one another in tangled orbits. But even this chaos is a stage in the rise of eternal complexity. Chaos gives birth to order, then order dissolves back into chaos, then order rises again. Complexity is not a destination, it is a rhythm. You move farther outward, into a region where multiple young galaxies interact. Their gravitational fields tug and pull, weaving their motions together into a cosmic dance. Some galaxies merge, forming larger structures. Others pass by, exchanging streams of stars like gifts in slow motion. Some are stretched into long, elegant tidal tails, the early signatures of complexity growing from simple beginnings. But none of these interactions are truly new. They are repetitions of cycles played out across eternity. You drift alongside a tidal tail stretching tens of thousands of light years from its parent galaxy. Stars along the tail flicker gently, their orbits elongated, their paths distorted by gravitational tides. This tale is a sculpture shaped by cycles, the memory of past interactions guiding the formation of new ones. As you move onward, you enter a region where more advanced galaxies are forming. Their structures are clearer, their shapes more refined. They carry the patterns of previous cycles: the spirals, the bars, the halos, the rings, the clusters. Their forms are built from the universe's memory of what works, refined across infinite eras. Complexity increases because the universe has infinite time to refine itself. You drift through a cluster of these galaxies. Their interactions glow with subtle beauty. Each galaxy is different, yet all share familiar traits repeated across cycles because they provide stability. Structure is not the opposite of chaos. Structure emerges from repeated chaos across eternity. You move beyond the cluster and enter a region where something unexpected rises into view: the first protoplanets forming around newborn stars. These small, rocky bodies are not alive, but they carry the potential for future complexity. And that potential has been cultivated across endless cycles. You drift near one of these forming planetary systems. Dust swirls around a young star, forming a disk. Within the disk, small particles collide gently at first, then more forcefully. They stick, break apart, reassemble, collide again. Slowly, across millions of years, they form larger bodies. These are the seeds of planets. Not new seeds, eternal seeds repeating their ancient pattern. You glide into the disk. Tiny grains shimmer in the starlight. Every grain carries the memory of ancient stars. Every collision is part of the eternal rise toward complexity. As planets grow, they gather atmospheres. As atmospheres evolve, chemistry awakens. As chemistry deepens, conditions emerge. As conditions stabilize, potential arises. And from potential, complexity blooms. You drift away from the forming planets, rising back into the broader cosmic view. New galaxies glow around you. Their shapes sharpen, their stars multiply, their potential increases. And slowly, the truth emerges in full. The universe is not a machine that winds down. It is a cycle that winds upward. Each cycle becomes more complex than the last. Each iteration builds on infinite predecessors. Each new era carries the echoes of ancient ones. Eternal complexity is not an accident. It is the universe's natural trajectory. And ahead lies the pinnacle of that complexity: the emergence of consciousness, the moment when the universe awakens to itself again. You drift forward, ready to cross the threshold. You glide into a region where young galaxies have matured. Their spirals shine in grand arcs. Their bulges glow with deep radiance. Their halos shimmer faintly, shaped by cycles stretching back beyond imagination. Here, in this mature region of the new cosmic era, the first planets with stable atmospheres begin to form. And with them comes the next great emergence: life. Not new life, not first life, but the continuation of a pattern woven into the universe since eternity. Life does not arise from randomness. Life arises from complexity, and complexity arises from cycles. The atoms that will one day breathe, think, wonder, and dream are the same atoms that lived in stars billions of cycles ago. They have travelled through galaxies, through nebulae, through gravitational currents. They have been fused, scattered, collapsed, reborn. They have been part of countless worlds, countless suns, countless cosmic eras. Life is the universe remembering itself through matter. You drift toward one of these forming worlds. Its surface is molten now, glowing with fresh volcanic fire. Its sky is thick with chemical fumes. Water exists only as vapor. But everything necessary for life is here, not as chance, but as inheritance. Complex chemistry thrives in the aftermath of cycles. You move forward through time, not literally, but through understanding. The molten world cools, oceans condense, atmospheres stabilize, molecules self-assemble, chains form, reactions emerge. This is not the first spark in cosmic history. It is the next spark in an infinite lineage, Life blossoms, it evolves, it diversifies, and it learns, it adapts. And eventually, inevitably, it becomes conscious. Consciousness is not an anomaly. It is the universe reaching a level of complexity where it can observe itself. You drift across countless worlds, scattered through newly formed galaxies. Some worlds teem with simple organisms, others evolve more rapidly. Some give rise to complex societies, others harbour silence for eons. In an eternal universe, every possibility occurs, every story unfolds, every outcome is explored. You glide through the galaxy, watching civilizations rise and fall. Worlds flourish, others fade. Some species spread among the stars, weaving threads of memory through the cosmic web. Others collapse back into silence, returning their matter to the universe to be reused again. Even consciousness is part of eternal cycles. It awakens and it learns, it reaches upward, it dissolves, it returns, and then, across unimaginable time, it awakens again. You drift toward a planet on the far side of a spiral arm. This world is blue and green, vibrant with life. Oceans shimmer. Forests thrive. Storms roll across its skies. It is a place where consciousness has emerged once more, a place where beings look to the night sky and ask the same questions again and again. Where did we come from? Why are we here? How old is the universe? They look upward and see stars that appear ancient and distant. They imagine beginnings. They invent creation stories. They form theories. They propose sudden origins. Some believe the universe began with a flash. Others imagine a cosmic architect. Others assume the cosmos itself is eternal. And eventually, some among them realize a deeper truth. The universe is not 14 billion years old. It is eternal, and we are made of its eternity. You drift closer to this world until you float just above its atmosphere. You watch its people as they build, explore, imagine, discover. You watch them learn about stars, galaxies, and space. You watch them uncover truths, piece by piece, often holding on to comfortable myths until evidence becomes too overwhelming to ignore. But slowly, inevitably, they awaken to the reality you have been witnessing. The universe did not begin. It cycles, it breathes, it renews, it evolves, it remembers. And then one day, a being on this world looks up at the night sky and feels something stir deep within. A resonance, a familiarity, a connection. They realize something profound. The universe is not something they observe, it is something they are part of. Its matter is their matter. Its cycles are their cycles. Its rhythms are their rhythms. Its eternity is their eternity. You drift back, rising above the planet, above its star, above its spiral arm. The galaxy spreads out beneath you like a glowing tapestry, a masterpiece woven across infinite time. Beyond it, more galaxies appear, more cycles unfold, more complexity rises, more consciousness awakens, and then the final realization settles. In an eternal universe, you are not a fleeting moment. You are part of a story that never began and will never end. Your atoms have lived through countless cycles. Your consciousness is part of an eternal awakening. Your existence is the universe remembering itself yet again. You drift farther still, leaving behind the galaxy, the stars, the nebulae, the cycles. The cosmos stretches outward in every direction, infinite, ageless, breathing forever. And as the journey concludes, one truth remains. The universe is not 14 billion years old. It is the eternal ocean from which all things rise, fall, and rise again. You were never living in a young cosmos. You were always living in eternity, and eternity is living through you.